All right, Tatyana. Now we can get started, right? So I'm glad you're here with me today on Life's Checkmark podcast, and you can share your journey in life. I had the pleasure of connecting with you previously before we got this going, and I really enjoyed what you had to share. And I know that you have a lot that you can share and provide to others for how you navigated through your journey in life. And I'm open to see how we can pull out stuff from your life and, how it can help other people on the way. So let's just start off with, who are you today and what are you most excited about?
Wow, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to share. Who am I today? That's a very loaded question to start with because it changes every moment, right? And every day we wake up, we're a new person with new choices and new uh, opportunities and possibilities. So if I'm looking like reflecting on who I am, let's say, in this season of life, I definitely identify with being a mother primarily. First of all, I consider that an extremely important work of my life, and an artist and a teacher who is passionate about passing the knowledge and the skills that help me be happy, and just seeing others enjoy that brings me so much happiness as well.
Yeah. And
There's
so
lots
like
more, but
there's a
yes.
so okay, you have a little bit more you want to share?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I know you're big into art, right? And you're helping a lot of people as artists and stuff. But I'm curious to know if you could share, like, how did you find out that art was your thing and how did you get that passion for it?
That's a really good question. There are people who say they always knew that they're an artist or they've been drawing as long as they can remember. That is certainly not my story. I grew up in Soviet Union during the Iron Curtain days. I was born in the 80s, so I lived through that phase. And at the time, uh, it was very much a process of like you're either talented or you're not. There was a very clear path laid out for you as a citizen. So I went to normal school. I did my normal classes. I didn't do any art as a child. I did crafts and I did theater. And then, but I remember, like, I clearly remember this moment. We had a trip with the class and we were taken to a gallery. And I would walk through these rooms, art gallery, classical art gallery. And I would walk through the rooms of paintings. It was landscapes, very classical. And they would speak to me, like I was just mesmerized. And I must have been 12 or somewhere in that age. And so at the gift shop on the exit, they were selling slides. If you remember those things that you put inside a projector and you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were selling a book of slides of the artworks. And I don't know how I came up with the money, but I bought everything that I could find in that shop. So, and then I just kept living my life. I studied computer science in university. I got a job. I worked at Accenture. I lived in the United States at the time. And all this time, and this is a funny moment as well. So I did an internship before starting my work, before starting a job. And in the internship, sitting in that cubicle, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is what I want to do. Like it already didn't feel good. Anyway, so I got the job. I worked for 3 years in corporate until I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I just cannot. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I've got to go. And I have to say, like, huge thanks to my partner and my husband who said, you can be good at anything that you set your mind to. So if art is what you want to do, I support you. And that definitely helped me take the leap, So I felt it in my heart, but he sort of supported me in actually stepping out and going for it. It wasn't like I wake up in the moment in the morning and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job and go to art school. It was not like that. It was very gradual. It was a slow death of my soul inside every day. It was experimentation in the process. So I had this idea that I don't like working corporate, but I'm going to start my own web agency. I did front end development, like building websites. So I thought I can learn design and I can start my own agency. I'll design websites for people and build them. And then I said, okay, well, I do need some graphic design education. So I went to graphic design school. And in the graphic design school, I picked the print track because it had 50 hours of studio time. Studio time meaning drawing. And there in the class, the teacher that taught drawing for graphic design was actually a teacher from a local art school. And he said, of course you can go to this art school. Like everybody is welcome. So I actually quit graphic design school and I went to art school. And that was the defining moment. That was the time when that was the moment where I realized you truly, truly can learn how to draw. It is a mechanical skill. And your talent is your passion, your desire, your vision, your hunger, your thirst for creativity. So that's how I came to have the skills of, the technical skills of drawing. And so, yeah, what was the question?
Just basically how you got into art, like, you're
Yeah,
finding your passion for it.
this is how. Yeah, I think I felt that I wanted to do something creative. I didn't believe that I could, like many of us. I'm sure many, especially like mature people, have had that experience in the past where either they wanted to do something creative, but it wasn't practical, or they were told, like very often children are told something critical very early on and they really take it to heart, and we believe that, and I believed that for so many years. So I was 29 when I went to art school. 29, and I
Wow.
learned, and I can draw very well from the technical perspective. And then it's the question of, what do I want to say with my skills? How do I want to apply this in the world, in my life? And I really enjoy service. So, how can I serve others with this skill? So, when my first child was born, I knew in that moment that I am not going back to an office. Because all this time I was like, okay, well, I'm on this adventure, so I don't know what I'm going to do next. Maybe I have to get a job, still got to make money somehow. It was like undecided. But the moment I became a mother, I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm going to start a business. Using this skills, somehow I'll work it out. So then I had a newborn, of course, I was a little bit busy. Then we had our second child, and I promised myself that before she turns 1 year old, I'm going to publish a course. That was 2017, the time when the courses were just doing really well. And I did. So her birthday is at the end of December, and December 16, I published my course and I made some money. And that's how my teaching journey began. And so that's been, gosh, she's 7 now. So that's been 6 years of active learning, teaching, learning about teaching, improving my art and illustration skills as well. And I really like this adventure. Yeah. And the
Yeah.
more experience I have, the more fun it actually becomes.
The
Yeah.
more experience as doing the artwork or the course part.
uh Actually teaching people,
Okay.
there I for a very long time I did not embrace the role of a teacher. I Because I didn't have that period of time after art school. I didn't have a period of time where I'm going to create art, I'm going to license it, I'm going to just establish my name as an artist. I just sort of went straight into teaching. And it's been parallel. I do licensing contracts in the quiet, but as a public figure, it is more about education. It is mostly about education. And for a very long time, I had a conflict. So, is Tatyana Deniz an artist, or is she a teacher? And if she's a teacher, can she really do art? There's that always that question. And then actually earlier this year, I met Vin Zhang. I'm not sure if you know him. He's a communications expert. He teaches communication. I did a public speaking and communication course with him. He started out as a stage magician. He got extremely high in the ranks. He would have rooms of, 40,000 people doing shows and keynotes. And then so basically, he had done the work. He's done his craft, and amazing performer. And I looked on his profile on Instagram, and all he said is teacher. And that really made me change my perspective on what the teacher means. Like, he embodied being a teacher so much, and I benefited from his work so much. It just was life changing. That I am embracing this part of what I do. And doing the course with him made me realize I have a lot more skills in communication than I even realize. And yes, and perhaps I have it for a reason and I need to use it, and really embrace it because I enjoy it so much, and not be one foot here, one foot there. Being a teacher does not make me less of an artist. In fact, it makes me more of an artist. Because then there's that other perspective of, if you really want to learn something, teach it, right?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was going to say that, but you stole it from me. Um, no, I totally agree with you. So now you're helping so many more people at a different level of teaching, and that increases your level as being an artist. And I just want to clarify, when we talk about artists, are we talking about drawing, painting, or something, something in particular there?
Yeah, so that's a really good clarification too. I'm talking about a visual artist. You have a friend.
Yeah.
And the way that I like to create right now is that I create art on the iPad using Procreate app. And I really love the idea of bringing art into your everyday life. So making patterns, like let's say you're wearing a t-shirt, it could have a print on it. Somebody had to make that print, or somebody made that print. This is an interesting thing. I consider a t-shirt as like a canvas. And when people wear them, it's like walking around canvases. And if somebody wears the art that I have created on their t-shirt, this is the greatest honor. A gallery is a gallery and it's great status and it has its place. Like, I do believe in wall art. And having wearable art, usable art, like your iPhone can have art on it, your curtains, your bedding, like everything around us that has decorative elements is art. And this is what I really enjoy. And also imbuing meaning into the images. And one of my values is like art elevates space. So create art that raises the vibration of the space that it is in. So I really like to work in the kawaii style. Kawaii means cute in Japanese. And the reason I love this style so much is because it is incredibly powerful visually. And if you're wondering what that is, think Hello Kitty. Everybody knows Hello Kitty, right? Big, bold characters, big graphic statements, very much about joy and happiness. Hello Kitty's having these adventures. Like, here she's riding a bike with her basket, and here she is doing Christmas gifts. And even can take it a step further and have other stories in it, or adding words to the art. Yeah,
So that's what you're teaching primarily, is
that's
stuff
what
along
I
those
teach.
lines. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes. I teach how to create kawaii art, how to draw kawaii art, how to use the Procreate app, which is such a powerful tool that we have. It is absolutely incredible. And coming from a traditional art background, like think paper and pencil and paints, it was definitely not a leap, but it took some mind work to say actually drawing on the iPad is just as good. You know, again, there's that mental drama of like, well, if it's digital, it's not real. Like, of
Yeah.
course it's real, you know, it's just a medium.
That's true. Yeah. And so my daughter, she's 13 now. She's been playing around with painting on a canvas just for fun, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking about it, get her iPad or whatever and see what she could do on there, right? Um,
Yes.
and I don't really know why she does what she does and just plays around, but I think she enjoys it. She's also talked about being an artist, in the future or whatever, wherever that might take her, right? Um, for people like I've had a few people come on and they're in the art area, they paint and stuff. Would you say, um, and maybe this question isn't the best for you because you're in a totally different art space, but it could relate. Would you say it's kind of hard to like kind of stand out in how so many people are trying to create their own thing?
Okay, so I get this question a lot.
There we go. All
Just
right.
from I lead a membership. Like we have a community. It's called the Happy Creators Collective. There are artists that are looking to become joyful and known, and you know some of them want to make it their work. And so this question comes up a lot, like, is the space oversaturated, or is it hard to make money as an artist? And I look, so here's the thing. This data is from Gary Vaynerchuk. I think he knows his stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at 100% of people online, 95% of them are consuming content. 4% of them are rehashing content. So they do like reposting and like doing mashups and stuff. Not mashups, you know what I mean. So they basically repost other people's content. And 1% of people is creating something new. So you're 1%. And if you can create consistently, and when I say consistently, like one thing is have a system in your life, have a reliable time in your day when you create or in your week, you know. Daily drawing is not a thing for me because I'm a mother. We homeschool as well. There are days that are work days and there are days that are family days. But on work days, I have a block of time where I show up. So create consistently like that, uh, and have the bravery and the boldness to be you and to let people know who you are. You know, it's not about being timid and it's not about ego. It's actually, again, social media is an act of service. Showing up and talking about your journey is not selfish, it's an act of service. People want to connect, they see themselves in what you are experiencing. And when I do an artwork and I tell people the story of how it came to be, they connect with the artwork and they want to buy it. That naturally, they want to bring it into their world because that's all it is. They're saying, I will give you my energy, which is in the form of money, in order to bring your energy into my world. There is no shortage of need for real human connection. And art is a medium of connection. So I heard this definition of creativity from Amy McNee. And she said that art is an act of making something with an intention to connect. So therefore, by default, anything that is not human made, it's an image for sure. It is not art because, well, okay, so I won't go in there, but the art that we're talking about, like you're talking about your daughter making art, that
Mhm.
is art. So anything that you create with an intention to connect is art, and that will always be in demand as long as humans exist. Now, there's the art, there's the marketing, and you've got to love marketing as well. And I have two children, so I will always encourage them to do both, to do the creative and to do the business. The business gives you choice, power. It enables you to write your own script of your life. So right away, like right now, my son He says, "Oh, mom, you should make this YouTube video." Like he's already thinking about it. He's 10 years old. They both have YouTube channels. I support them in that journey because I know that this will enable them to write their own life.
That's cool. Yeah, and so yeah, they're being creative in their own way. Like for example, my son's he's 15. He's doing a TikTok videos for fun, right? And just see what happens.
Yeah.
So, but no, I like what you're sharing. I love how, you know, you're saying it's not saturated, right? And I love that. Because when I look at it, if I was to create something, I'm like, well, how's it going to get out there, right? And is somebody actually going to be interested in this? And then that's where the marketing piece comes in, right? And the social media part that you shared. So like all of it makes sense. So I appreciate you, expanding on that a little bit more and sharing that with everybody. So are you primarily just teaching now, or are you still creating stuff of your own?
I aim to do both, let's
Okay.
say. Now, if one falls off the wagon, it'd be my personal art right now. And again, it's the season of life. And I know there will be another season of life where I create a lot more for myself. And there's, even being with children is creative. They have projects, they have things that they do. So oftentimes we would sit at the table and do drawing challenges. So we have this drawing challenge with my son where for 30 seconds he draws on the paper and then we swap, and for 30 seconds I draw, and we keep going until the page is filled. That's my own art. That is my own art. Making gifts for the community, for the family, for friends, that's my own art. I don't necessarily need to teach it, but um, I that's my own art. And whenever I do have time, for example, in school holidays where we don't have 5 million activities that I need to drive them to, I come back to doing my own art. So I do trust that it's a question of capacity and making choices. Now, professionally, I do keep up a licensing practice just for my own for my own what do you call it? I guess just I want to feel like I have my hand on the pulse. So whenever good contracts come in that align with me, I say yes. But I do keep it to a minimum and very, very selective because my heart, my work right now is in teaching and I pour myself into it, and I don't want to have that split feeling where I'm like 1 foot here, 1 foot there, like, oh, I'm teaching, but I wish I was doing this. No. So I'm teaching and I love it. And if there is extras, I will do my own stuff, but I don't worry about it.
Hmm.
And I do a
Did,
lot of art for the membership, because we have a lesson every week. So
okay.
there's a lot of art that goes into that.
That makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, so you're doing a little bit of both anyways, right? All at once.
Yes.
Um, when you do art, this form, do you find it as like a form of meditation and a form of, relaxation in that sense?
That's a funny question. Some people do art for meditation and relaxation, and some people really, really struggle with it, like the mental drama. I guess it depends on your history and the beliefs that you have. For me, so for my creative process, I have a first initial phase where I'm dreaming up the project. Like, let's say next month we have every month we have a big like event, which is a master class where I teach a whole piece of art, and I'm thinking 3 steps ahead of what will I teach in week 2, 3, and 4 that relates to that one project. How can we turn it into products that we can list in our shops? So it's like I'm thinking up of a whole unit. And then how will I teach it? How will it fulfill the skills that the people want and need to learn? So that phase of birthing the project can either be blissful because the insight came and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. Or it can be very painful where days go by and I'm like, I still don't have it, you know? Uh, so then there's the part where I'm drawing the concepts. And that is also quite focus and energy intensive once I have the concepts and I'm coloring and I'm doing the manual work, that is super relaxing. That's when I can have a cup of tea and I can put in like a podcast or something or music. And it's very much like craft. You know, you filling in, you coloring in, you're shading. Like there's not so much mental work that goes into it. But I do have the zone. You know, I definitely experience it, the zone when the conditions are designed to do that. So one thing is, you know, they say maker's time is 4 hours. That's not my reality. I have 1 hour. So if I have an uninterrupted hour for drawing, that's bliss. Even if I'm going to be sweating during the process, that's still bliss, you know, because I go into the zone of no time, no space, like nothing exists. It's just me in my space. Oftentimes it could be like 15, 30 minutes before the children get up, and there's a little bit of that feeling of like, oh my gosh, they're going to be here any moment. So that's not as, you know, hard to go into the zone in that space.
Yeah, you're right. That's for sure. Oh my gosh. So, because I find some people, that I've spoken with find it as relaxing, and even if it's just not them to create the art to like sell or anything like that, it's just an image, like they're sharing a part of their journey, their story or whatever, and that's how they express it, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a woman not too far from me does that with her art, and she'll eventually sell it, but she's sharing her journey as she goes in an art form. I find that fascinating.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
it is. It really is. And so it's like one of a kind deal. So like, I don't know, maybe she takes it from there and throws it on a t-shirt or something, right? Right. And so now it's all over the place instead of just on a wall. But I like the idea.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing. I like what you're sharing, teaching others definitely, how to get out of their comfort zone and actually do some kind of art. So I'm glad that you found teaching to be almost the end result here, so you can become better at being an artist and also helping so many other people. I think it's really cool. How can people connect with you and learn more about you and your art?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you can go to my website, tatyanadeniz.com. So it's Tatyana with a Y and Deniz with a Z, tatyanadeniz.com. And right there, you'll find a mini course that you can get started with and all my contacts and everything. Yeah, it would be definitely an honor to create and share with anybody who is here to listen and to step into their creativity.
Yeah, I think I'll go
Beautiful.
check it out and see what's there for sure and
Sure.
find out what it looks like.
Yeah.
Um, so I have one question I ask everybody at the end. So what are three key things you've learned and used along your journey?
Ooh, that's a good one so far, right? And my journey so far, I'm sure
Yes.
there's things I'm going to learn. So, one thing that I live by is if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Or if you strongly feel about this, go for it. Like it's just trusting your own intuition and knowing the difference between this is hard, I don't feel like doing it, versus I really don't feel like doing it. Like this does not align. Okay, so that's one thing. Two is definitely ask for help and leverage your community. Like this is not a one man show. It takes a village. And I love asking for help. I love co-creating and doing it as a group. And number three, I would say is it goes back to number two, like get help if so I have mindset coaching every month. I have a mindset coach who helps me work on the mental hygiene. So, getting help in whichever way, like you may not need a mindset coach, maybe your thing is meditation, but maybe it's journaling. So, having some kind of a mental hygiene process where you can constantly fine tune your thoughts and hear your thoughts. And again, that enables you to know when you're in alignment or not. So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
working on
So,
the mindset.
I love that. So, how often do you connect with your coach like that?
We do monthly.
Mhm.
And if there is a big event happening, like especially in the beginning when I was launching courses and it was all new and it was crazy scary, we did weekly.
Okay. I can see
I,
that. Yeah.
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 Early,
Did,
early days, yeah.
yeah. So, real quick on this, did you have a tough time going through that transition? Like, can I actually do this? How do I keep moving forward?
Oh my goodness, you have no idea. Like, yes, mega big fat yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we all experience that. And I love how you just shared, you said mindset hygiene. Like I never heard it expressed that way. I love it. So I encourage anybody watching, listening to this to go get some mindset hygiene. Um, I know I needed it along my journey as well. And yeah, it's definitely well worth it for sure. Even when you experience things in life, even when you're not trying to do something so much greater with a business or whatever, it's just navigating through those unknowns that you've never been through before. Um,
Oh,
Tatyana, this has been great. I appreciate you sharing everything about how you got started, what you're doing now, and how you're helping so many other people. So thank you.
thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and the platform asking such good questions. Like, it was absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Ah, yeah, you're welcome.